It's curtain call on the 2017 Formula 1 season as we head into Dubai for the last round of the season. Yes, guys, I know I'm just as shocked as you are. The season has went so fast, but we are finally here. The last round, round 20. We've been all over the world, and it all ends, coincidentally, at a sunset in Abu Dhabi. A beautiful destination to end what has been a sort of average season, but obviously the last GP preview show of the season, obviously that's more important than the Formula 1 itself. Well, then again, without the Formula 1 there wouldn't be any GP preview show, but unfortunately this is our last episode of the season, which is quite scary in a way, Lyle, just before we start, because it's like, you know, I remember planning this, and now all of a sudden it's like this is it really, you know what I mean? Like, obviously for the season, but no, it has been a really nice season. It has been obviously a really good start. Obviously, we will be rounding it up in the later episodes to come. But obviously, for the last time this season, we're going to predict our top 3, our podium positions, and obviously you guys can as well if you want to. Your top 3, top 5, top 10. Even your top 20, whatever you want to do, in the comment section below. So I'm going to kick things off, and I'm going to go with P3 to P1. Now in P3, I'm going to go with Red Bull's Daniel Ricciardo. Now Daniel Ricciardo has had a very, very good season. Obviously, he had that massive streak of podiums. I think it was 7 podiums in a row, including 1 win in Baku. Good form then, but recently the form hasn't really been on his side of the garage, if you know what I mean, because a young driver called Max Verstappen has somehow probably stole his car, and then all of a sudden he's got all the good luck, unlike Daniel Ricciardo hasn't. But I think Daniel Ricciardo is going to end the season on a high. It has been a very positive season for him. You know, obviously, only the 1 race win. Should have been more, but obviously he's now looking on the next season to win some more Grand Prix. So let's see if he can or not. But I think this is going to be a good way for him to end the season on a high, roll it in the next season, give him some momentum, and maybe get off to 2018 in the best way possible. So I'm going to go with P3 with Daniel Ricciardo. In P2, I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton. Now you're probably thinking, oh, hang on a minute. Whoa, Lewis Hamilton on the podium. When was the last time that happened? 2 races ago, in fact. 2 races it's been since Lewis Hamilton, won a Grand Prix, was even on the podium. So obviously, I think it is time for him to return on the podium. I mean, obviously, as we know, he's now a 4-time world champion. He's wrapped the championship up in Mexico. So obviously, you know, he doesn't matter. He's not really bothered where he finishes. But I think the best position for him to finish would be P1. But I don't think he's going to finish there. I think he's going to cruise home into P2. Just chill, relax. You know, the season's done. He's going to be thinking about, okay, what am I going to do over the winter? But obviously, P2 for Lewis Hamilton. You know, I would say a bold prediction, obviously judging the form that Hamilton's been on at this particular circuit. But I'm going to go with P1, the race winner, the guy who won the very first Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and won his first championship here back in 2010, is obviously Sebastian Vettel. Now, yes, Sebastian Vettel fans, we all know how your season has ended. It has been a very positive season, but obviously we're going to round that up, as like I said, in later episodes. Obviously, we'll have our opinions on that. But I think Seb Vettel is going to end the season on a very positive note, on a very high note. He won the last Grand Prix in Brazil, so obviously I think it's just going to be even better for him to go forward into the last race, win the last 2, and maybe do what Rosberg did, then all of a sudden just kick on in 2018 and just maybe win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, and let's see where he gets up to. But no, I think Sebastian Vettel does need a very positive result. Yes, he had one in Brazil, which was obviously brilliant. But I think if he wants to, just to kind of go into winter with a bit of a smile on his face, I think a win in Abu Dhabi is pretty much essential to what he needs. So that's my top 3. Daniel Ricciardo in P3, Lewis Hamilton in P2, and Sebastian Vettel in P1. So Lyle, what's your top 3 for the final round in Abu Dhabi?
The final round. It's quite scary, even how you see it. And they were good top 3 as well, staying quite close to the chest and what could actually happen on Sunday. I'm going to play it very, very kind of well, I don't know, some people might say it's simple, some people might say it's not. And obviously, as we saw in Brazil, Ferrari looked like they're getting a little bit more together, but obviously a little bit too late, especially if they were in the Constructors' run-ins. Obviously, they were out of that, like about 6 races ago. Obviously, Sebastian Vettel lost the World Championship, so picking up form now is a little bit like, there's no real point, apart from obviously getting up kudos and obviously hopefully rolling into 2018 with some more back, obviously some good formation on his drive. Anyway, so I'm going to start with P3 up to P1. Obviously in P3, I'm going to say a guy who, to be honest, he's been quite quiet in the last few rounds, and that is Kimi Räikkönen in the Ferrari. Now, obviously, he's done really well here before. I always remember 2012 probably was one of his best races in Formula 1, and I know second part of he's been quite quiet as well, because he's only had 2 victories, but obviously I would probably say even in his whole career, I remember 2012 Abu Dhabi was a great race by him, so I think that P3 is going to be a quite strong result by him, and obviously, as I say, Ferrari and P3 be really, really good. In second place, I also think it's going to be Sebastian Vettel. So Ferrari are going to have 2 drivers on the podium, obviously really, really strong from them, probably taking away maximum points in Abu Dhabi as well. It really will be a Ferrari mania weekend as well. I'm thinking that they'll also do quite well in qualifying and in the 3 practice sessions that we have in the 2 earlier days. I think they'll do quite well this weekend in the final round, and obviously in P1 I'm going to say Lewis Hamilton. Now Lewis has had a really, really strong form throughout the whole season as well, and as Jordan said, you know, letting us slide in the last 2 races. He won the championship in Mexico, but P9, it was actually the lowest position where a driver has actually finished winning the World Championship. Obviously the lowest after that was a DNF, obviously back in 1994 in the Australian Grand Prix, when obviously Michael Schumacher took the 94 championship off Damon Hill. Coming into Brazil as well, obviously the first part of the race he was doing really, really strong, obviously from the pit lane up to P1, obviously Mercedes got their strategy right really, really well. Obviously he was looking like he was really pushing it. It was looking like it was going to be a Lewis Hamilton on the podium, which obviously we've all seen the back to front races. They're really, really strong. Again, like 2012 Abu Dhabi, again one of my favourite races because Sebastian Vettel came from 24th to 3rd. So it was looking good for Lewis Hamilton, obviously 4th place, just missed out on the podium. So 2 races without a podium. Lewis Hamilton is almost having withdrawal symptoms about that, but obviously P1 in Abu Dhabi will be a good race by him. Obviously Mercedes starting their celebrations again in Abu Dhabi, the end of the season, the end of 4 in a row, the end of Lewis Hamilton's 4th World Championship, and the end of Lewis Hamilton winning the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Ferrari will have a good, they'll have a good race. Obviously go back to Maranello for 2018, with probably the heads held, well, obviously not high, but since the last race, obviously quite high. I think that they will do quite well as a team in Abu Dhabi. But anyway, so that is my top 3. Obviously Raikkonen, Vettel and Lewis Hamilton as the victor. I also think Valtteri Bottas will have a good race in Abu Dhabi also. I also think both McLarens will as well. Obviously Fernando Alonso getting the good news that he'll be driving for Toyota in Le Mans, obviously for next year. I also think they will be having some good results with the head held high again when they go into 2018. Obviously it's all looking good for them. Obviously new engine deal, obviously confirmed drivers, changing the team. I also think they'll have a good race again, because this is like the last race, but it's almost like the preparation for 2018. They're my top 3 for Abu Dhabi: Raikkonen, Vettel and Lewis Hamilton.
Good predictions, I must say. Obviously going for a very strong Ferrari finish to end what has been, let's say, a mediocre type of season for them. But obviously, as always, guys, as I did say before, leave your predictions in the comment section below. Top 3, top 5, top 10, or even your top 20. So now, right, as we said for the past couple of races now, couple of weeks, you know, the championship is now wrapped up. But there's one championship that needs to be settled, and that is Fry the Grid. Now, we are quite lucky, quite fortunate that it went to the absolute wire, which is something that me and Lyle were talking about when we first came up with this idea back in probably February, you know, early March time, but you know, when the idea came to us, and we were like, oh no, you know, let's see how it goes. And obviously, as the weeks went on, we just kept on, okay, this is getting really, really competitive as to how close it was, and now it's. Obviously now this is it. Lyle completed his. He finished on 50.5 points in the last Grand Prix at Brazil, and I'm on 50. So Lyle's only a 0.5 ahead. I need to get at least one question right. Now stats are against Lyle for this one, because the lowest anyone's had in this season is 2. But obviously the highest that both me and Lyle have had as well is 8. So obviously we've been quite level, you know, quite level throughout the course of the season. But obviously, will I slip at the final hurdle? It's been a close battle for Lyle. He's done all he can. It's now up to me. Pressure's on me. Spotlight's on me. Can I do it? Can I add to my ever growing accolades of, I don't know, the second place in there, I don't know, basketball or something like that. I don't know what it is, something like that. But obviously, if I add that to my trophy collection, that would be a very, very, you know, good achievement in my life, anyways, from what has been so far. But anyways, guys, let's go for it. Let's see who wins for the final round of Fry the Grid for Abu Dhabi. Hello guys, and welcome to the final round of Fry the Grid in Abu Dhabi. It's been a long, hard season, but now the winner is decided in this episode. Who's going to win? Is it me or is it Lyle? Let's find out.
Question 1. The construction of the Yas Marina circuit to the nearest $1 billion.
Wow.
How much did it cost to build?
Blimey! Let's check it on we would say. Oh god. I'm gonna say.
Now remember, it's the land of money.
I know. It's a lot, so it'll be a lot of money. So I'm gonna say about 10.
You were canny close. $19 billion, which is still a lot of money. Question 2. What is the name of the full island? It's not called Abu Dhabi, unfortunately.
No. Is it Palm Island? Is that it?
Is that your final answer?
No. Oh, is it Yaz? Oh, I don't know. I know it, but
You know it.
It's something like Yaz. It's got the word Yaz in it.
Well, Yas Marina is the name of the circuit.
Yaz Maria's the name of the circuit, but the island. I'll go with Palm Island.
Palm Island. Oh, lad, unfortunately, that is in Dubai. Do you want to know the answer?
Go on then, what is
Yas
it?
Island.
Yaz Island! Ah!
Question 3. Who holds the lap record at Abu Dhabi?
It'll be Sebastian Vettel.
Correct. In what year?
2009.
Yeah, 2009. Yeah. How many title clinchers has there been in in Abu Dhabi?
Right. So you had one in 2010. You had one in 2014. I'll say 3.
Correct.
So,
2010, 2014, and 2016. The track has the most amount of what? It's an inanimate object. It has the most of what? And this is out of all of the permanent tracks in the world.
ooh, most
Think what could a track have the most of?
asphalt.
You see an asphalt?
Asphalt.
It's lights.
Lights.
Lights. Makes sense, doesn't it? Twilight race.
Yeah, it does indeed.
What do they spray on the podium after the race?
They will spray rose water.
That is correct. Very easy. In 2012, Sebastian Vettel got pole position, but then he didn't. What was the reason why he didn't?
Because when he got his lap on pole position, when he went to go back round to go in the pits, he ran out of fuel.
That's correct. Question 9. How long is the circuit to the nearest K?
I'm going to say 5.
6.
6. I knew it was quite a long circuit.
Question 10. There's been 2 drivers, both on 3, so like 3-3, to who's won the most. They're both tied on 3 wins each at Abu Dhabi. Who were those 2 drivers?
It'll be Lewis Hamilton and right. I would say Lewis Hamilton, and I'm going to say Sebastian Vettel.
Correct. 5 out of 10, lad.
Jesus.
5 out of 10.
Happy with that. Must say 5 out of 10. Getting again 5 out of 10. I like these 5 out of 10s, I must admit, but I think I must do that. But obviously 5 out of 10. That's where I end the season. How I started it. I started in Australia. I started in Bahrain with a 5 out of 10. Oh, China with a 5 out of 10. So I'm ending the season on a high. So at the time recording, I don't know if I've won it, but obviously when we go back to the studio, obviously we'll announce the winner of the Friday Grid. And until next time, until next season, back to the studio.
This was always going to be juicier than the Formula 1 World Championship, and it finished on a climax. Unfortunately, I didn't get the win, but Jordan, very well done, 4.5 points ahead of me on 55 points. Now, as he said at the first part, it was very, 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 very close. I slipped up a few occasions. There is a few rounds which obviously I wasn't very happy with, but overall, I would say a very good performance by the both of us. Jordan, obviously exceptional. You take the victory from the 2017 Fry the Grid World Championship. The first Fry the Grid champion, obviously, you'll have to wait for next year to see obviously what we can offer, and hopefully I can regain something and take victory off Fry the Grid in 2018. But obviously, as the champion is out the way with, I'm going to say, obviously, firstly, we hope that you've enjoyed Fry the Grid. Obviously, we didn't do the GE previous show on Australia, but we got Fry the Grid out on Australia, so we have done 20 rounds of Fry the Grid. Obviously, John came up with the idea, a bit of a spin-off from Grill the Grid, whatever the hell that is. Obviously, not important, you know, some of that's, yeah, that doesn't exist. Bit of a spin-off from that, obviously, put our own kick onto it, and yeah, we hope you've really enjoyed it. We hope you've stayed on touch, obviously, as I say, from Australia to Abu Dhabi. We hope these questions have been informative. You might have even played along at home. Obviously, tell us any results that you have. Have you played your friends? Have you played your family? Did you win? Are you with me? Are you with Jordan? What is happening? And obviously, yeah, you'll have to wait until 2018 to see what Fry the Grid can offer next year. Obviously, a different spin on the GP preview show.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it has been a very, very close year in Fry the Grid as well, but obviously stay tuned for next season, guys, because next year Fry the Grid will be back for its 2nd season, but obviously we have, you know, made it a bit more added a bit more flavour to it as well. So obviously make sure that you stick around for the GP preview show next season for the new season of Fry the Grid. Can Lyle steal the title from me? only time will tell. But obviously now it's time to jump into the final part of the not Friday the Grid, sorry, of the GP preview show of the season. Now I'm going to kick it off. Not only is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix obviously the last round, the sunset on the 2017 Formula 1 season, it's also the sunset on the absolutely atrocious second spell relationship with McLaren and Honda. Now, for all you McLaren fans like myself, this will be like, oh my word, I've never thought this day would come. It's like the end of school. It was like, when you went to school, it was like, oh, the last day will come. It will, one day. And then you go, oh no, another 3 year, another 2 year. Oh no, it's never going to end. It's like, we've actually made it. We've been through thick, we've been through thin, highs and lows, more lows than highs. And honestly, you have reached the light at the end of the tunnel. You're gonna run out that tunnel. You're gonna go, yes. And then probably go back into another tunnel. Hopefully not anyways, but obviously the McLaren-Honda partnership will end for good, hopefully, as Honda as McLaren and Honda part ways. Honda going to Toro Rosso and McLaren are off to Renault. Let's hope that partnership can kick on as well. So obviously one last time for McLaren and Honda. Now, I just want to say that I hope that both drivers get a good result, because let's not forget, guys, that McLaren and Honda is still, despite the 3 years of hurt, that in the 90s, this was still it's still a very iconic double-barrel name that you could still say. When you say McLaren and Honda to an old-school Formula 1 fan, they're going to shiver in their bones and go, oh my god, ooh. Wow, that was powerful. That was very powerful. But if you were to go to your average Joe and go McLaren and Honda, they're going to go, like, come on, that's not even funny. That, well, it's more hilarious than funny, anyways. But obviously the partnership does end. I hope it does end on a high, despite all the lows that it has been, because as I said, it's still quite a strong name in Formula 1, in the history of Formula 1. The MP44, 15 out of 16 races back in the late 80s as well, 90s as well. Obviously Honda going with Williams, winning championships with them. So obviously Honda, I've still got a brilliant history in Formula 1. It's just that obviously the modern day technology just doesn't fit, dwell with them. It just doesn't fit in their program really. So obviously they jump onto Toro Rosso for next season. So obviously, and obviously now Fernando Alonso does have his mind elsewhere, because obviously yes, he will be driving in the Le Mans series, but I think it'll be in June time, I think it is, for Toyota as well. So obviously very excited to see that. And obviously his last race for McLaren and Honda before they jump off to Renault. Now I'm hoping that that McLaren boys, both in Stoffel and Alonso, do get a double point score and finish. I don't think we can finish 8th in the constructors. I think that's a long shot. I think we'll have to win the race. I thought something like that, which is obviously impossible. Well, it's not impossible, but it's very, very unlikely. So I think P9 is still it's still been a horrible time for McLaren. But let's just wipe away all these rain clouds, bring in a bit of ray of sunshine as the sun sets on McLaren Honda. So Lyle, a lot of Formula 1 fans have been disappointed with how the relationship has turned out, because when they first came into Formula 1, it's just been absolutely appalling. And I think I seen a stat the other day, a stat attack for any of you guys out there, that McLaren this season have had a total 380 grid penalties. Forcing they've had 5. That's all I'm saying. That's bad. That's really, really bad. So obviously curtain call on that. But I mean, obviously from a neutral perspective, obviously you love the old McLaren Honda series with their Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost. But obviously, do you want to see a good result from the McLaren boys, just to just remind people that okay, but despite McLaren Honda being bad, there is still some good in that partnership? What do you think?
Yeah, exactly, Jordan. And now I said in the first part, obviously I said that both McLaren should be on for a good result. I'm not going to say both in the points, like I did with Brazil. Obviously, sorry. Now every result, every race that McLaren does, I think you always want them to do well. You always want them to at least finish the race, and then you want them to finish in the points well. I also remember, obviously, the first part of the year, John, when it was things like when all the races were ticking by, and all these all these DNFs were happening from Stoffel Van Dorn, from Fernando Alonso. Obviously, it was the worst start to McLaren in 30 odd years that they've had in Formula 1. Obviously, as you say, the old school were really good. Now Honda only has 55 laps left in Formula 1 with McLaren. It's now it hasn't worked since 2015. It's been a real disappointment, a real shame. It's almost been like that. I don't know, like a performance. Yeah, I don't really know. I can't really think of an analogy. It's basically been a performance that everyone's waited for. The whole world's waited for. For example, obviously they waited all the way through. Obviously through. When McLaren were with Mercedes, obviously around 2013, when the partnership was agreed, obviously till 2015, obviously Fernando Alonso, Jensen Button on the grid, really exciting, and obviously they bombed Basically, it really was a big mess everywhere. Now, it wasn't great for McLaren. And they really need to get the rack together. Honda, thankfully, they're going to leave them, as I say, for next year. They're going to have a new power unit, they're going to have a new engine, they're going to have a new team. It's really good. Obviously, Fernando Alonso now, he's got his head screwed onto Formula 1 and Le Mans. So let's hope he can go out and do, something special. A bit like what Nico Hülkenberg did, obviously, remember in his 2015 season. Won Le Mans in a full Formula 1 season, obviously, which was probably, for Nico's point of view, Jordan, that really boosted his, ego. That boosted his, that boosted his, popularity. Especially for me as well, so much, and I think that could happen to Fernando Alonso as well. I think they should be on for a good result, but there's one big word that starts with an R, which is really annoying McLaren fans, and that is not Renault, it's reliability. McLaren reliability is not working. That's really, really frustrating, and obviously that is what loses races for McLaren. The engine unit might be okay, I guess, if it's going to finish the race. Their drivers, pretty good. On some days, obviously, as I say, they've got a good, strong driver in Fernando Alonso. They've got a good up and coming driver like Stoffel Van Dorn. But as I say, the reliability not great. So McLaren should be a good result in Abu Dhabi, but you can't put your money anyway. You can't count your chickens too soon, as John likes to say, because obviously reliability could let them down. But obviously that is really what they need. They are penultimate in the Constructors World Championship, obviously 28 points behind. 28 points in the World Championship. Obviously 23 points ahead of Sauber, just under 20 points behind Haas. I think they should be in for a good fight. They're probably going to finish in 9th place as well, but as I say, hopefully they can get a good result and maybe not change much this season, but obviously roll into next season being really, really strong. Anyway, so the thing that I'm going to talk about, the topic that I'm going to be talking about is Toro Rosso. Now, obviously, Red Bull Junior team, they're now going to be they're going to be trying to break away from that. They really want to be their own independent team as well. Obviously, they've got the Renault deal. Really, really excited about that. Obviously, they're going to be pushing forward with a really, really strong engine. And they're also going to be pushing forward with 2 strong drivers, obviously Brendan Hartley and Pierre Gasly confirmed for 2018. Really strong from them. Obviously their debuts in Formula 1 have been not very good, but to be honest, pick somebody who has had a good debut, especially someone who's come in partway or even close to the end of a Formula 1 season. Hasn't been great for them, but I'm really excited about what they can bring next year. They should be on for a really good result in Abu Dhabi, hopefully after reliability stays where it is. Now, Toro Rosso are still kind of in the fight. Obviously, they're 53 points in the Constructors, and I'm going to talk a little bit now about the fight that are still going on. As I say, Toro Rosso 53 points, 82 points to Williams. That's 29 points that they have to climb in this race. And obviously, remember, they have both drivers in the race. Obviously, say they average around 5th place and 6th place. That should be enough to try and challenge that, obviously, especially if Williams guys don't get points. We have other teams in the lead. Obviously, Renault, they're only 4 points behind Toro Rosso in the World Championship. The guys that I'm wearing, Haas, they're only 2 points behind them, 47 points to Renault, which are on 49. Obviously, McLaren and Sauber still kind of out of the contention. In the World Drivers' Championship, the big one that is there is Valtteri Bottas. Now, obviously, during Brazil, he was mentioned quite a lot. Obviously, before Sebastian Vettel got his race victory, the margins were even closer, but obviously, they're still quite close for him to get. Now, Valtteri Bottas, 3rd place, 280 points. Obviously, he's had some victories this year, had some pole positions, fastest laps of the whole event. He's had some great finishes all year round. It's been a really, really good from him, and I think 3rd place is basically a big tick in the Valtteri Bottas Mercedes. Has he done a good job for him? Now, he's in 3rd place at the moment, as I mentioned, obviously on 280 points. Sebastian Vettel is in 2nd place on 302, which is quite easy math, is only 22 points behind. Now, that is a race win. If Valtteri Bottas wins the race, Sebastian Vettel can finish in 8th place or lower, and Valtteri will have taken 2nd place from him. Now, if Valtteri finishes in 2nd place, that will be a Mercedes 1-2. On top of their constructors, on top of their 4th World Championship from Lewis Hamilton, they will be on cloud 9, they will be singing forever, but obviously, realism of that is going to be quite hard to do. But a lot of the eyes are on Valtteri for that. Obviously, the only real guy who's in contention with this, obviously another driver who, again, he could challenge the drive, is obviously Kimi Raikkonen, 7 points behind and 193 points, 7 points behind Daniel Ricciardo, obviously in 4th place on 200 points. Again, if he gets a good result and Daniel slips up or anything like that, obviously if the permutations line up in his way, he could end up seeing 4th place, but obviously would be strong from him, but just missing out on that podium. from that. Obviously, Max Verstappen, 6th place. He is really in no man's land. Obviously, he's about 40 points behind Kimi Raikkonen. He is 60 points ahead of Sergio Perez. He isn't really going anywhere. He can't really catch anybody. Really, it's disappointing for Max Verstappen. Obviously, again, we'll be getting into him later when we review more of the season. It's been quite a disappointment from him because it started out really badly for Max, and I just keep looking at that point. I keep looking at that 158 points that he has, and I just keep thinking to myself, if he had a good, strong first part of the season, that could be so much higher. And to be honest, if you look at the championship, he could be in 4th place, he could be in 5th place. I don't think he could be any higher than that because obviously, as I say, the lead Red Bull driver is in 4th place, a guy who's been pretty reliable all season. But 4th place or even challenging 3rd place for Max would have been so strong in a season where, to be honest, as Jordan said many times, and as I've said many times on the show, he was 2nd in line, like 2nd most popularity to be world champion this year, obviously behind Lewis Hamilton. So obviously they are some of the permutations this year. Obviously the fights that are still going on. Obviously Valtteri Bottas, big one. Obviously we have Haas and we have Toro Rosso still battling each other. Renault as well. Only 2, 3, 4 points separate them. Obviously, especially for the constructors, what really matters now is the money that you get, because obviously every constructor standard means more money for the team. And obviously, basically every team in there could do with money to help them progress. Obviously Renault, even though they're a works team, obviously try and help them progress into Formula 1. Obviously we know Haas could do that. Obviously he's still a second year team, but obviously still growing from that. It all is really, really big to play for. And because the drivers and constructors has already been settled, guys, don't think that is the end of that. We still have 3rd place to go for, we still have 4th place to be battled for, and we still have some big constructor battles to go for. Now Jordan, obviously two things that I've just shouted about there. Obviously Toro Rosso, Brendan and Pierre, obviously both being signed for next year. Do you think they'll have a good season? Do you think they'll have a good race? Obviously everything's confirmed for next year. Obviously good engine for next year, and obviously all the fights that we have going. I mean, what do you think anything's going to change in those fights? And obviously it's going to be really interesting to see in Abu Dhabi, isn't it? Because as I've said, Lewis and Mercedes, both winners of both sides, but that doesn't say that the championship is over in any means. Obviously a lot of people were saying after Mexico it was all over, but it really isn't. And as he says, don't count your chickens too soon, because we have all this to fight for, and it is going to be a real exciting 55 laps on Sunday.
It certainly will be as well, because obviously Abu Dhabi has thrown up a lot of good Grand Prix throughout the years. Obviously drivers going for the championship, but obviously when the championship has been already wrapped up, you've still got other teams going for P2, P3, and obviously the midfield teams going for like P7 or P6, trying to gain an extra point or two on their rivals, because as like you were saying, obviously every position is vital for the lower teams in terms of financial backing for next season as well. And obviously if they do end up getting that financial support for the following season, it's going to help them funding for the future. But obviously as we know, we have seen teams fallen when they have lost certain positions as well. For example, Sauber, who obviously not Sauber, rather Manor, who obviously fell at the final hurdle because of Sauber when they scored 2 points of Felipe Nasr, would you believe it, at the Brazilian Grand Prix at the second of last race last season as well. So obviously that killed off a team essentially. So that just proves how critical points are. But obviously on the point of Pierre Gasly and Brendan Hartley, now Pierre Gasly was inevitable to have that seat regardless of the situation that's unfolded, with obviously Carlos Sainz going to Renault and Daniel Kvyat being dropped. Pierre Gasly was going to get that seat one way or another. It was Brendan Hartley that surprised a lot of us when he was announced that he was going to replace Daniel Kvyat for a couple of races, and we were like, oh, okay, what a surprise. Now obviously if you don't know Brendan Hartley as much, you still trying to find your feet with him. Basically back in 2010 when Red Bull set up their junior program, I think at the time they had Danny Kvyat, you had Ricciardo, Jean-Eric Vergne was there, Alguersuari, and obviously Brendan Hartley was there. Now he left the program in 2010. He was dropped from it. Then I think he went to Mercedes from 2011 till about 2012. I don't know about 2013, but roughly at that time he then went off to do the World Endurance Championship, WEC, like Le Mans and stuff, like 6 hours of Silverstone, 6 hours of Shanghai, that kind of thing. A bit like what Mark Webber did when he left Formula 1. He then went off to obviously endurance race, and that's what Hartley did as a career, and he's just won the drivers championship in the WEC this season as well. So obviously congratulations on his behalf for that. But obviously when they announced that he got the seat, I was over the moon for Brendan. I think he's a really good driver. He's a good prospect as well for next season. He's going to be a bit more comfortable in the car. I think he's going to do Toro Rosso well. Gasly, I would say he's the next big thing in Formula 1 as well. I think he's not going to stick around the midfield for long. He's going to be up there battling with the likes of Ocon, Verstappen, maybe even Verline, or maybe even George Russell, who's come through the ranks. Charles Leclerc, he's going to be up there as well. Giovinazzi possibly. So there's a lot of talent in the ranks at the moment who could potentially be battling for World Championships. But I think Pierre Gasly is definitely going to be one of them. But obviously, you know, have a lot of play for it, because, you know, those who don't really understand Formula One just think, okay, Hamilton's won the championship, Mercedes have won the constructors. Why watch it? Well, when you're a fan, you've got to see the bigger picture, and you want to see the midfield battling, obviously for positions, because obviously if Nico Hulkenberg overtakes Carlos Sainz, let's say, Brendan Hartley, let's say, it's like, oh, Renault's now ahead in the constructors. And then let's say if Roman Grosjean overtakes both of them, it's like, okay, now Haas is going to get it. Oh, no, it's like, you know, it's even though it's not a championship, it's kind of, okay, you know, who's going to finish where, in a way. Then it almost feels like, you know, a world championship is at stake. That's what it feels like to the teams anyway. But obviously, you still want to see the race winner. You still want to see Max Verstappen win the race. You still want to see Lewis Hamilton win the race, depending on obviously who you support. So there is still a lot of play for. There's still a lot to see. At the final round, it is a real shame that I didn't go to the wire of the championship. It was written in the stars for it to do so between Vettel and Hamilton. However, it wasn't meant to be. But let's hope 2018 can be the year. But anyways, guys, this is where we're going to wrap up this episode for the final time for the GP Preview Show. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the entirety of the episode. 19 episodes of the GP Preview Show, including one Friday Grid that we did at the start of the season, making a total of 20 Friday Grids, 19 GP Preview Show episodes. It's been an absolute pleasure doing them. Absolute pleasure for you guys watching as well. Obviously Lyle as well. Very, very, you know, it is a nice achievement, you know, to be able to say, okay, we've actually managed to do it without any hiccups or anything like that. You know, we've accomplished it. We've done it. It's now, wow. It feels very, very weird. Very, you know, the season just went so fast. Lyle, do you want to say any final words before we wrap up about the GP Preview Show this season?
Yeah, I mean, it really was. It really is special, obviously, that we've come this far. We hope that we hope that you've really enjoyed them. Obviously, we've had loads of, especially as the season progressed, we've had loads of comments. Obviously, people putting their predictions down. Obviously, you know, agreeing, disagreeing, you know, commenting on what we've said in the episode. Obviously, what we think are really good, because obviously that is the point of the GP Preview Show. We see our predictions. We want you to know yours, and obviously we talk about what can happen. Basically, just, you know, it's another debate show, but this one obviously is firmly about the Grand Prix and not just in general. Obviously, to think that, you know, this is now the end, it really is crazy. Obviously, you'll still be seeing us, you know, through the end of November and obviously in December, but this is going to be the last time, and you know, just away from us as well, John, for a sec. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the end of, you know, we have 55 laps on Sunday. We have the whole weekend, which, to be honest, is absolutely fantastic. Then as soon as Abu Dhabi is over, it's a nice feeling to think that we've come this far. But obviously, you know, the literal sense is that there is no Formula One until February, until they start testing again. And it's like, oh my God, is this going to be what type of break is this going to be? Is this going to be a laggy break, or is this going to be a break where you think like, oh my God, the season, you know, it's just flew over, and we're back in Barcelona for 2018 testing.
That's it though, like, because obviously a lot of you guys will be thinking, oh, you know, we've got, like, you know, 3-4 months to wait. Yeah, but it's like, no, like, literally, it will feel like we're sitting here now, but like, it'll feel like, oh my God, last week I was just watching the last GP Preview Show of the season, and now they're doing the car launches, and now it's pre-season testing, and now it's FP1 in Australia. It really does go fast. But obviously from the F1 Debate Show, thank you very much for watching, and until next season for the GP Preview Show, we'll see you then.
See you next season, guys. Take care.